please remember to leave a like, a comment, share the video about, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Thank you. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at a recent Lolcowlive performance from that of Boogie concerning Darksydephile. Now there's been a lot of drama concerning the likes of Boblax, and a more recent one with Chud Logic. These centre around, in the case of Boblax, sharing a private conversation that he should not have shared without permission and other things, but that was the straw, okay? With Chud, it was messaging an 18-year-old. Although I think there's an argument over whether or not it was inappropriate, I don't care. The messaging part is how I'm tying this into Boogie, because his recent messages with Darksydephile, he discusses. For the sake of it, I think they would make a fantastic team if on YouTube together, not least because their natural hatred for each other would, for a time, well, it would garner a considerable amount of attention. Whether good or not, I would say good in the short term, because it wouldn't be a long-term thing, because monetarily, they would both benefit. In the case of Boogie, because apparently he has no money. In the case of Darksydephile, he always runs out of money. And because of that, recent performance on the Kino Casino has dried up a bit, so his numbers have gone back down to where they usually are. Let's see what they have to say, or what Boogie has to say concerning it.
DSP has been messaging me.
I don't suppose you two were sharing nudes as well, were you? I'm not going to judge if you were, and it is not my place to. But if this evolves into a loving relationship, I'm here to support you.
Now, I'm not going to share his DMs because I don't do that, right? I think you don't do that, right?
Well, I'm glad to see you have some standards. People that share DMs without the other person's explicit consent are, well, trash. Quite frankly. That's why I mentioned the other stuff earlier. It's an interesting ballpark to be a part of.
But what I will share is what DSP has said.
So without showing the DM, you're going to tell us what the DM says anyway, which means you are therefore sharing the DM. I know it's semantics, but you're still essentially sharing what they've said, without the physical part. I guess, much like your medical records, this is another thing that must be kept private at all costs, to maintain some semblance of dignity and integrity, two words that are somewhat contradictory when used in, conjunction with Boogie 2988.
DSP has invited me onto his show.
Now, for the context of Lolcow as a business, to protect your business, that's a bad idea. In the context of Lolcowlive, though, it's also a good idea. You guys should be more active and more present everywhere else to promote Lolcowlive. At the same time, you risk harming the profit margin of that of Lolcowlive, because Phil will be making more money from it. Potentially. We cannot say for certain. If it came as some kind of agreement where you went on his show and he comes onto Lolcowlive, that's totally fair then, really, isn't it? I guess it depends on who's the bigger draw, or who'd want to see the same thing twice. You might need permission from your boss.
And I really want to know what you guys think about me going on DSP's show.
Personally, I think you should do it on the condition that he comes onto Lolcowlive as well. But I think he should go onto Lolcowlive first, because then there's no chance of him pulling out. And if you try and pull out of going on DSP's, Keemstar can force you to go onto it, and you will go onto it. DSP clearly needs people for views and money. You garner views and money, because you have a tendency to say things. The intrusive thoughts prevail over sense with you. No offense intended, that's just what it is, really. And while I don't care for dealing in tautologies, I'm well aware that is one. I also think it's a bad idea, because you have a steady flow of income from Lolcowlive. Since we now know Phil isn't the type to honour agreements to go on to Lolcowlive, for example, where he could have made a steady flow of income as well, it seems a bit pointless, because we've not got the context for what Phil wants to talk about, other than just to have you on, maybe play a game with him. So as you can see, it kind of swings both ways, really. But I do believe it would be beneficial, provided he came onto Lolcowlive first.
I want to do it. I don't know if Keemstar will allow it.
I'm not surprised you'd want to do it, because it's a chance to talk to another gamer, right? I don't know if Keemstar would allow it either, because I think that the opportunity is there to have him on Lolcowlive first. Again, he is the type to pull out rather than honour an agreement. I'm also aware that it could generate additional interest and money for both Phil and for LolcowLive. Maybe even Boogie's own YouTube channel. You never know, right? But ultimately it comes down to that one caveat I think should be stipulated, because I genuinely think Phil on LolcowLive would be great for business for Phil, perhaps even long term, and for Boogie and LolcowLive as a whole.
I don't know if he's okay with it, but my condition for DSP is going to be simple.
I have a feeling this is where I'm about to align with Boogie on this. I'm really hoping you say the following: he has to come onto LolcowLive. Hell, Keemstar could be a part of the show or not, because we know DSP's afraid of Keemstar. That much is obvious. But to have DSP, Wings, Boogie doing a show together, that would be cool.
If I go on a show, Keemstar's already been on a show. If Keemstar's been on the show, and I go on a show, and Jordy goes on his show, Darkside Phil, you have to come on mine.
100% agree. Darkside Phil, when LolcowLive was first posited as an idea with a alleged income of $50,000 a year to get LolcowLive up and running, a guaranteed income to be a part of a podcast. Some of the months have done very well. A regular income that he could then blow on things while still begging for more money would have been a great idea from the offset. The show has done alright. Obviously the fake cancer thing really did alright for everyone involved. But ultimately, Phil being on a regular show would be good for him. Now, he obviously did state that obviously he didn't want to do it. He likes his schedule with what he does, which there's nothing wrong with that. He's been doing this for long enough. When we get set in our ways, certainly his age, it's understandable to not want to change or adapt or improve. Improvement is something he is hardly synonymous with. Fact remains, it would have been beneficial to him to be part of the show, in hindsight especially. He knows this. So I agree with the idea of him going on to LolcowLive. I think it's a great idea. Phil, though, is an interesting one because I genuinely don't think he'd want to go on LolcowLive unless he was being paid quite a large sum of money to be there.
That's the deal, Jordy. If you want, you've already had Keem. You're going to get me. And you're going to get Jordy.
There might be some vital lore I'm missing here. Does Jordy and Phil have some kind of rivalry that I don't know about? Also, if you're going to get all of LolcowLive, why not just do it on LolcowLive and split the donations with Phil then? No offense intended, but I can't imagine going on his show anyway. Having each of you on there would be beneficial. Although there was a recent thing showing solo shows and donations. Some were better than others. Right. It was on Twitter. I don't remember who posted it. Whereas if Phil went on to LolcowLive, we know the donations would be bigger. Because full house of LolCows.
But if you get all three of us on your show, that's 3 free episodes we gave you, you will come and be on LolcowLive one goddamn time. That's the deal.
Again, I fully agree with this. To be honest, having Keemstar on Phil's show, to be honest, because he's a bigger draw, no offense to you, Boogie, and no offense to Wings, would surely mean that he has kind of gotten the one show from one of the hosts. Therefore, he should be on LolcowLive. In fact, I'd argue, for every host of LolcowLive he gets onto his show, that's one episode he owes LolcowLive. You can settle for one episode if you like, and he can be all high and mighty and prideful if he wishes, but to be honest, he's only doing it out of bloody-mindedness at this point. To not go on, that is. You can settle for the one episode, but I'll be honest, he already owes you one.
That's the deal, Phil.
I took the liberty of perusing Darkside Phil's Twitter, and he hasn't really responded to this publicly yet. Of course, what you've seen so far is from a members-only stream. LolcowLive do quite a lot of those, but the clip of it was shared on LolcowLive Clips, so Phil may not have seen this yet, because, you know, members only. The only thing I saw of interest on Darkside Phil's Twitter was criticism that he's addressed concerning responding to detractors in a more polite manner, which I might well make a video on tomorrow.
Now, I follow a lot of Phil detractors, and I find... I'm just going to say it. And since this is members only, we know Phil will not see anything I have to say about him here.
That might be an incorrect statement, since, you know, the entire clip is on that LolcowLive Clips channel. I wonder if you're going to strike them, though. That does have me wonder. There are people who don't like clips channels, and that is completely understandable when it comes to things like fair use.
So I can speak freely, right? Do you guys want me to speak from the bottom of my heart? Do you want me to be genuine about Darksydephile? Because I don't want him to know what I'm about to say. It's got to stay. Everybody has to promise in chat that it's not going anywhere, okay? It has to stay here.
All of a sudden, I really, really like clips channels then. But I promise never to share it with anyone ever, anywhere. What's up, Bugs? And what's with the commentary on Darksydephile's detractors?
Okay, we all agree. I find Darksydephile extremely entertaining. Oh my god, I love the clips.
You know you could fangirl about him publicly, right? You don't have to be so one thing publicly, but another thing, air quote, privately. Darksydephile is an entertaining entity, and the clips do him justice, aptly I might add. The fact he's still here, considering all the crap he's said over the years, is impressive. There are people being cancelled right now for things that could be argued to be trivial. No, I'm not inserting Bo Blacks or Chud logic into this. It's just what happens. But Darksydephile has that, not necessarily impenetrable fortress around him, a bubble of invincibility. No. It's just people know what he is. It's very much WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. The acronym if you didn't know. And many people gravitate towards those clips because, yes, the fact he hasn't himself taken advantage of that is impressive though. And he really should.
I love it when he gets mad at video games. I love it when he sucks at video games. When he was playing Zelda, oh my god, the schadenfreude that I got from that, oh, it just made me so happy.
There used to be some rabbit hole videos on Darksydephile years ago, and they used to say that he was one of the worst video gamers ever. And there's a point to it, because it's not overly difficult to play Zelda, but Phil made it very difficult. When he plays anything that's first person, he's not great, he's not terrible, he's not great. You know if he's playing, you're not there to watch him play, you're there to bait him out for a response. And for when he makes a mistake, knowing he will blame you, or he'll say it's because his donation goal has yet to be met. So the stream is not a success yet. What's on his mind is often not doing well in the game. No, he's not there to win, because he knows he won't. He's there instead to suffer, knowing you guys will pay for him to suffer. And I think he enjoys it. I think he's a bit of a masochist.
Just to see him so miserable playing Zelda. And Zelda's an easy f***ing game. If you can't play Breath of the Wild, you might have some insane mental deficiencies, and Phil might, I don't know.
Just in case someone thinks that Boogie might be overstating or understating, he is actually correct. Zelda Breath of the Wild is not a difficult game at all. It really isn't. If you struggle with it, and then on stream you get angry, frustrated, you blame your chat, these clips are what make you. But it also shows that you still suck at video games. You are the most successful gaming streamer to suck at video games. As a whole. That's what Phil is. He can wear his crown as a king of the failure kingdom. And people will troll him all the time because emotional damage is guaranteed with him. He's not very good at articulating clapbacks. So it's very much a case of he will take it because he has to. I still think he should go on Lolcowlive before anyone else goes onto his show, because he will pull out the moment you go onto his show. He'll pull out. He will not entertain Lolcowlive. He should, because it will benefit him. And people have been saying it ever since Lolcowlive started. They were still saying it over the cancer stuff, and they're still saying it now. If you can't get it in writing and have a punishment in place, at least make it so he has to go on Lolcowlive first. And you loving all the clips of him suffering? Yeah, we all do, honestly. There's no reason not to at this point.